Hey everybody, how's it going? It's a Daily Shooter, and today we're going to be taking a look at a couple different scopes from a company that I think makes the best scopes that you're going to find on the market for the money, period. They didn't pay me to say that. I wasn't asked to say that. This is my personal opinion on these scopes. I just don't think you're going to be able to find anything better for this particular price. So today we're going to be taking a look at a couple different scopes from Shepherd Scopes. You know, one of the nice things about having a gun channel, especially one that has one of its primary focuses being optics, is that I have access to optics that there is no way I would have access to otherwise. You know, I am lower middle class. I'm just your average guy with 3 kids under 5 years old, all boys, and they are a handful and they cost a ton of money. So I can't afford to go out and buy a $5,000 scope or a $3,000 scope and tell you guys all about it. But with this channel, it allows me access to try at least just about everything through borrowing, through just, getting a chance to get some time behind so that I can gather an opinion and tell you guys about it. And doing this over the past 3 or 4 years has allowed my opinion to grow quite a bit on optics that cost more money and optics that cost less money. Here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you, I would never spend my money on a $3,000 scope or $4,000 or $5,000 scope. There's just no need with today's technology and the glass that's out there and the clarity and everything else that you can find on the market today. It's just not necessary in my mind. Unless you want to spend your money on the name, go right ahead because you're just buying a name. One thing that it's not a secret, but it's so little known that it might as well be a secret, is that Shepherd actually makes or OEMs a lot of those scopes that you're looking at online right now with that fancy name on it. They make those scopes. They just OEM them out to different companies. So they'll make the scope. They'll send it out to these high-end companies. These high-end companies will stamp their really fancy logos and names on the side, and they'll charge you double and send it out to their customers. Not knowing that the exact same scope will exist at Shepherd with a different body style, because they can't, copy the body style that they've sent to a different company or manufactured for a different company, but it's the exact same scope and the exact same components and the exact same everything otherwise, and they'll charge you half. All right, so with that being said, I want to take a look at the first scope that we're going to talk about today, and that is the Shepherd DRS 6 to 18 by 42 millimeter scope. This is their V2 or version 2, and this is an amazing scope, okay? This is a game changer, and I don't say that lightly. There's not really many scopes out there that I would consider game changers. They're either really good or they're not good. This one's a game changer. So what makes this a game changer is the fact that it doesn't use a first focal plane or a second focal plane. It uses them both. This right here has the DRS system, which stands for dual reticle system. It actually has a first focal plane reticle, which works on its own focal plane, has its own turrets, etc., and a second focal plane that works on its own plane and has its own turrets as well. First focal plane being in the front, second focal plane with the smaller turrets in the rear. And what makes this so amazing and what makes it so unique and different and game-changing is the fact that you can use these independently of each other, meaning that there is no need for any special return to zero. And this scope right here will give you a true one-shot zero. Now, there's people out there, I know that argue this all the time, and there's definitely a need to verify your zero, but this will give you that initial one-shot zero. And then you can verify it afterwards, but I can tell you just from experience, you're going to be dead on. All right, so let me give you a brief explanation of how this works, because it is a little bit different. I think it deserves at least a little bit of an explanation. First focal plane, the first focal plane reticle, is a reticle that magnifies and shrinks as you go up and down in your magnification range. So as you look at the reticle one way, maybe you're at 6 power, and you dial it all the way up to 18 power, the reticle is actually going to look like it's coming closer, and it gets larger in your viewing window, which means that you actually get 2 different types of reticle, one that is smaller and one that is larger and more up close. So you have that first focal plane, and then you also have the second focal plane reticle. The second focal plane reticle stays the same size all the way through the magnification range, and it doesn't change. One of the nice things about first focal plane is that at any magnification power, you're going to be able to use any drop compensation, ballistics, charts, and stuff, or information that is within that reticle. So you can use that at any range. Typically, with the second focal plane scope, you have to be all the way dialed in or halfway dialed in with some calculations in order to use that particular bullet drop compensating reticle or whatever type of reticle you're using, be it MOA or MIL-DOT. So you're working with 2 different types of options here. And what's really great about this one is what you can do is you can go ahead and you can set your second focal plane on the target. You take your shot, okay? You take your shot, and then when you see where the bullet lands, what you have to do is simply take your first focal plane, go ahead and line that up with the hole that's in there, and then take your shot again using the first focal plane as your guide. If the shot hits exactly where you want because you were able to make that adjustment and bring the reticle up to the impact, all you have to do is just match it up with the second focal plane, and now both are aligned. So what you do now is you go out and you're shooting, you know that you need a little bit of elevation. So you go to your first focal plane adjustment, you make your adjustment so that you have raised it to the point where your elevation is dead on. Now your second focal plane is still where your original 0 was. It hasn't moved at all because you've only moved the first focal plane. So what happens is, now when you want to go back to 0, you just look through the scope. You don't have to be aiming at anything. You bring your first focal plane back down to match the second, and you're back to 0. It's simple as that. You can change this thing all over the place. You can bring it up and left and right and do whatever you want through the entire day, and then just simply come back, line up the first focal plane with the second focal plane, and your scope is back to whatever 0 you had it. 100, 200, 300, 400 yards, whatever your 0 is where that second focal plane is going to stay, and so it doesn't matter where you move your first focal plane. You just simply move it around. And it really doesn't kind of get in your way either. People might think, well, the second focal plane or the first focal plane are going to get in the way of each other, and they really don't. I can tell you from experience that it is a scope that takes a little bit more learning curve, but it's incredible. It's incredible what they've been able to do today. So this right here, and let's see if I can grab it. This right here is a scope that I've chosen for Project Savage. Project Savage is a Savage 10 FCP SR that I've put in this MDT chassis. This is the LSS XL Gen 2 chassis. The action was originally in just a standard, Savage stock. So we went ahead and converted it over to this, put it in this really nice MDT chassis, and now we're going to go ahead and put the dual reticle system on top of this so that I can take it out and do a little bit of shooting and testing, and I'll get back to you guys a little bit more with some extra video content on that, assuming that YouTube doesn't shut down the channel because of everything that's going on. Please make sure that you follow the channel over on Full 30. I think that's going to be a place where you're going to find a lot of us right now. So another scope that I want to talk about is the Shepherd 1-8, okay? I have a Shepherd 1-6 first focal plane. This is a Shepherd 1-8 second focal plane, and I gotta say, out of using everything from primary arms to the Vortex Razor HD Gen 2, this is my favorite 1-8 by far. Like I said, I've used everything from your $200 1-8s like Add-A-Ball and $150 1-8s all the way up to $1,500 1-8s. And this right here, you're not going to be able to beat this for the money. This thing is an amazing value for what you get. 1-8 second focal plane. Don't mind the fin on the gun. This is a California rifle. But this is a fantastic 1-8 illuminated reticle. They really provides you with quick target acquisition. The reticle is absolutely amazing to look through. It gets nice and bright. It is very light, and this right here is one of the scopes that's currently being sold by one of those other manufacturers for twice the money. I mean, you're just going to pay twice the money. This right here has a different body on it, or some different body styles, but if you guys look really hard, you might be able to see who is selling this scope under a different brand. But I got to tell you, this thing is absolutely incredible, and I don't see a need at all to spend any extra money on something like this. This right here, if you ask me, is the best 1-8 you're gonna find. I really like the Vortex Razor HD Gen 2. That is a great one. But the glass on here is so beautiful that you just can't beat it for the money. It's about half the price of the HD. So you can go ahead and check this one out as well. But Shepherd makes some great scopes. You know, another one that I did a review on not that long ago was a scope, and I named that video the best scope company you've never heard of, and I did that for a reason, because a lot of people didn't hear of Shepherd. This is one of my long-range scopes. This is the Shepherd Rogue. This particular one right here is a 6-24 with illuminated reticle, and this thing is pretty intense. It really reaches out there and gets you one of those, high magnification ranges, so that's a nice scope as well. But talking about the two today, the 6-18 DRS and this 1-8, if you're talking about CQB and having one for long range, I mean, these are honestly the two only scopes that I would buy if I was looking at getting one for each. I have one for CQB / competition, and I have one for long range. I'm going to go with that 6-18 DRS, and I'm going to go with this 1-8 right here. So pretty cool stuff. Again, sorry if this fin offended you or, you know, triggered you in any way, because I know that happens to a lot of people, but definitely worth checking out. I'm going to put links to all this stuff down below so you guys can see it for yourself, including the MDT chassis that I was showing you. If you have a Savage rifle, if you have, well, shoot, they do so many, like Howa and Remington 700s. You can get chassis for just about everything that's out there, so I'll put links down to that as well. But anyway, I want to thank you all very much for watching. It's for your viewership and your support that channels like us are, you know, really hoping that, you know, we can stay on YouTube and remain relevant. So thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.